Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of the UNKLE SKELLY Show. This week I have a very special guest, Yseult from White Zombie. She was the bass player for 13 years during the whole band's inception. Right now she is currently displaying her photo exhibition at Scott Edwards Gallery in New Orleans. It tells a tale of a decaying society where members of the society revel and celebrate in their own decay. The play is called Soiree D'Evolution. It's a play on life devolving. We also talk about a future White Zombie release. There's going to be a series of box sets released before the end of the year is over. So look forward to that. We also talk about many White Zombie stories, past releases, all kinds of stuff. So hopefully you enjoy it. For more information on this and other happenings with Sean, visit www.seanyseult.com. How's it going, Sean?
Great. Thanks a lot. How are you doing?
No, not bad. You're out in New Orleans?
Down in New Orleans.
Okay, so yeah, you have a exhibition coming up April 18th.
I do. It's my first big solo show. And I've had 2 other shows, but this is the first time I've kind of really taken over the gallery. I've got prints that are almost 4 feet by 6 feet big. So it's a big show in a few different ways.
So what's that? It's a story about people sort of celebrating their own decay. It's like people, instead of mourning what is it, like a downside in life, they kind of celebrate. And
well, kind of. It's the title of the show is Soiree D'Evolution. So it's kind of a play on the word evolution with the French D apostrophe in front of it, and everything, life devolving and kind of going back to animalistic pleasures and even going back to skulls and bones, and it's about a secret society that's kind of obsessed with the macabre and magic and mayhem in general.
So that was sort of as a fictitious idea that you created, or it's fictitious that I created, but it's based on a lot of research and a lot of the original really old crews of New Orleans that threw huge balls and parties and created Mardi Gras, so they were actually pretty dark. Comus was the first one, and they their first theme was Dante's Inferno. And they staged these elaborate Tableaux Vivants in the old opera house that, just millions of devils and flames and everything on stage. And anyway, a lot of what I'm basing things on are pretty macabre to begin with. And, although it's, my taste leans a little more so, these people were doing a pretty good job of it 100 years ago. Or longer, 150 years ago. So you're doing the exhibition, and then there's going to be a couple more. There's going to be a couple more shows, exhibits in the summer. Is that?
No, this show is going up. Like we said, the opening is April 18th, and it'll be up for 2 months. And I just got asked by Sacred Gallery in New York City in Soho to have a show in November, December. They also do 2 months openings. So I'm sorry, not openings, but shows. And that'll be fun to have an opening that lasted 2 months.
Yes, I heard you.
But yes, I'll be up in New York with probably a variety of my pieces. Some of the show, some of a past show, and some other works that haven't been seen before.
I heard you were talking about maybe coming out with a book for it, like how all the pictures in a book. And
yes, there is. I've finished the books. I finished half of the books. They're very grueling to make. It's very painstaking to make. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I mean, I did bookmaking back in Parsons and back in the day, with binding and the whole works, but that was just individual books, and I had this as a run of 40. I've made 20 of them for the opening, and I've hand cut, like die cuts on the front of the book, and there's overlays and underlays and hand, corner glued photos and every page, and I created stories and designed the book and hand stitched the book.
Oh, cool.
It's an endless list of things that were really kind of intensive work, but it's now that they're done, it's great to see them all.
So you're gonna have your band Rock City Morgue. You're gonna play at this exhibition.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. We haven't played in over a year, maybe 2 years, and we've kind of all just gone different directions and have different bands we're doing, but we never broke up. And there's a piano at the gallery, and Rock City Morgue has a number of piano songs, so we're just gonna do 3 or 4 kind of later in the evening after a few glasses of absinthe. And there's another band called Morella and the Wheels of If that is a duo that also play are piano-based songs, so they're going to perform also. And fellow absinthe drinkers and pianists.
Yeah, I could go for a drink of absinthe. It'll be fun. But, yeah, I was just listening to the Famous Monsters before you called me. I think that was your first release after White Zombie, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, actually, there was a 7-inch that came out on Estrus, and then there was another 7-inch that came out on Estrus, and those are both on that compilation Estrus wanted to do. And before that came out, though, there was another record that came out on Bongload Records called In the Night. So there was a few releases before that actual release came out. That was the last thing that we did was.
And that you went by your actual name on there, or no? You went by a different name. Other than
no, it was. My name was never supposed to be attached to this. The whole thing was supposed to always be like incognito, hence the masks and wigs and costumes. It was just really for fun. I was hanging out with 2 girls down here. We became good friends, and neither one of them played the instrument. I got them to play. Like the other guitarist was a bass player like me, had never played guitar. And then the girl that played drums had never played an instrument in her life. So it was really kind of a very, punk, like, let's just have fun and play, I've always loved surf music and garage music. So it was just something I kind of wanted to do after all those years of touring with White Zombie. I kind of needed a...
And that was more your influences, was the Cramps, right? Because you were in the Cramps for like one leg
always.
Of the tour.
Well, yeah, I feel so lucky to have made friends with Lex and Ivy, and they asked me to tour with them a number of times. I couldn't do it some of the times, but that final tour, it was actually their last tour, sadly, before Lex passed away, and the timing worked out, and I was able to do it. So, yeah, to get to play bass with the Cramps was a real dream come true. They're, definitely my idols. I always said my holy trinity was the Cramps, the Ramones, and Motorhead, and I've gotten to meet them all and hang out with them, and to actually have gotten to play with the Cramps and still be friends with Ivy is just a really special thing for me.
Oh, the Stay Sick album, that was my introduction to the Cramps.
That's a good one. Yeah. Songs of actually, Gravest Hits was the first one I had.
But I just read on your Facebook account that there's a surprise White Zombie release happening.
Yeah, it's believe it or not, our 30th anniversary this year, and before the year is up, there's a company out of Chicago called Numero Group, and they're going to start re-releasing all of our original early vinyls that Rob and I put out ourselves in the early days, and then a couple that came out on Caroline Records. So each record, except for the first 2 records, are 7 inches. Those 2 records will be one 12-inch record in a box set with liner notes, lots of extra photos, lots of extra tracks, extra everything that no one's ever seen before. Liner notes, which no White Zombie records ever had, and they're going to keep doing that for each record. So the next record we put out was an EP called Psycho Head Blowout, so that'll come out as a 12-inch, exactly as it was, with a box, with liner notes and a box set, and they're going to keep doing that. So there'll be, I guess, 5 box sets in all, and it's really exciting. And Jay from White Zombie is remastering all of these things to make sure they're just at peak clarity and volume.
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware, but yeah, this week is the 20th anniversary of the Astro Creep release.
Oh, wow.
20 years ago. And it was,
That's pretty crazy.
actually, I saw that tour. That was my second show. Was Ramones and White Zombie in Detroit. That was
Oh, man.
Super Suckers were there too.
Another dream come true. Getting to like not just play with the Ramones, but getting to watch them night after night for a couple months was amazing.
Must have been quite a contrast, going on tour with them, and then going with Pantera the following summer.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, whole different animal, that tour. Well, oh yeah, well we toured with Pantera a lot, but that last tour, yeah, at the end of Astro Creep was like, we were saying that we were going to take a year off after that, but it was kind of obvious Rob wanted to, break up the band, and we did have a phone call a year later, but it was just kind of staged. But yeah, so that Pantera tour was, first of all, I love those guys. I mean, Phil and Dimebag were like my brothers, and they would prank me on a daily basis, on stage. They wouldn't bother to save it for the end of tour. So it was just so much fun with those guys. That's all they were doing, was just trying to fill the other 23 hours a day with good times. Yeah, and we lived it. It was amazing.
Yeah, because I know you said you never really got totally out of control with any of the big partying. Whereas I think it was that tour where Phil OD'd. He had the OD there, and
yeah, that was quite a surprise. I mean, I'm usually a little naive as to what's going on around me. I've definitely hung out with people doing hard drugs that I had no idea were doing drugs. Somehow people keep that secret from me, but yeah, no one in my band really did anything, and I mean, I've done a few things here and there, but nothing hardcore. I mean, pretty much, whatever.
Yeah.
not much, Like on that tour, sometimes somebody would just shove something in your mouth and it'll be a hot brownie or cookie, and next thing you're, tripping your ass off.
It's not really a good idea if you got to go on stage and.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's just, you never knew what was going to happen on that tour. But yeah, as far as anyone ODing, that was pretty unusual. I kind of been around that a lot in New York City, back in the 80s when we started White Zombie. I definitely lost a lot of friends that way. But I hadn't really seen that on tour with any of the bands we had toured with. So but, I saw Phil just the other day. He's doing so good, and I'm so glad he, got through all that. And
yeah, you were on stage with him not too long ago with Down. He was. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, I'm old friends with all those guys now, and it's so cool to, have Pepper here in the city, and Phil's just, across the lake, and I think they're actually he and his girlfriend are coming over for my show next week, so that'll be nice.
Oh, cool. I wondered with that show, if you would think about having a music, like a soundtrack to that.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of working on that right now. I've got kind of a weird mix of, I'm not sure if it's going to end up being this, but I'm kind of thinking like Gregorian chants and some Baroque like chamber music mixed with Exile on Main Street, a little Nick Cave, a little Serge Gainsbourg, like kind of mixing up a little French, a little rock and roll, and a little
something
very ancient.
Well, you went to school for art and all that too, so now you're trying to, you're getting to fulfill that end of things.
Yeah, no, it's great. I always kind of promised myself when White Zombie broke up, I would get back to, what I went to school for, which was photography and design. So it's nice. I started a design company a few years ago, and that's done well. And now I'm been showing in galleries for the past few years, and that's going well too. So I can't complain.
Your first album, the Soul Crusher album from White Zombie, that was Iggy Pop had written that was one of his top albums of the year, and that was kind of the big push that the band got.
Yeah, that was amazing. He wrote about that in Rolling Stone magazine. It was like in his top 10 list, and I think we were in the top 5. And I think like due to that, we started getting a little more attention, and we got offers from Homestead Records and Sub Pop Records that had just started up, and Caroline Records. And we ended up going with Caroline just because they, we had some friends there, and we liked the bands they were signing. They had Sam Hain at the time, and can't remember who else. we liked all the labels, but it was funny. The reason we didn't go with Sub Pop is because we couldn't imagine the cost of all those long distance phone calls trying to do a record with them.
Well, Sub Pop seemed to be a different scene.
Well, yeah, but when we get to Seattle, we'd sleep on Bruce Pavitt's floor and play with Mudhoney and Soundgarden. So we were kind of actually part of that scene at the time. But it just, like I said, we just went with somebody in the neighborhood in New York City because it seemed like it would be a little more cost effective than making long distance phone calls and having to pack and ship things back and forth to Seattle, which seems really funny now.
And then you had the Make Them Die Slowly album, and then you could kind of hear like the evolution of the sound, like the production was getting slightly better with every album.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been over to Jay's studio a lot this week as he's been remastering the works, and I never listened to them because Rob and I always, shared a little one-room apartment, and every time we'd finish a record, he hated it. Like the second it was done, he hated it and wanted to move forward and do something better. And so it's always been in my head that all these records just suck, and not to ever listen to them. So I'm actually listening to them for the first time since they've all been pressed. And I really enjoy hearing them and hearing the evolution. And even I think the first 7-inch is killer. I mean, it's punk. It doesn't sound like White Zombie sounds now, but if you listen to that, there's some kind of Black Sabbath-y riffs buried in there because I was very obsessed with Sabbath at the time. But it sounds a little like Fang, or some early punk band, and it's cool,
To me, it kind of had to sound like
we were going to punk shows, we were going to see Black Flag and Circle Jerks and Bad Brains every week, and it rubbed off, so that's how we started, and then in each one you really hear the progression, getting a little heavier. So it's I don't know. It was a revelation for me. I was like, wow, this really makes sense, and these records aren't bad. I actually like them.
You were more into the punk music, really, and then you got thrown into that metal scene, though, and then.
Well, yeah, but we didn't get thrown into the metal scene. We kind of got initiated. We lived on the Lower East Side in East Village all those years, and we played with those bands, because that's who we saw on the street. We'd play with Honeymoon Killers and Pussy Galore and the Swans and Rat at Rat R and bands like that. But then one day, this band Biohazard came up to us, and they had seen us at CBGB's or somewhere and really were into us and asked us to come play L'Amour's with them. So we go over there, and we've never, our drummer knew about it because he was from Brooklyn and he was a metalhead, but we had never been there, so it was like alien territory and all these metalheads. And for the first time in our lives, we played and the audience jumped around and moshed and went nuts to our music, and we weren't catering it towards them, and they liked it, so that kind of, and then next thing you know, Harley from the Chromax came up to us. We're out on the street flyering at 2 a.m, and here comes Harley, and we're thinking, oh, better run, he's going to kick our ass, because we have long hair. And no, he wanted to ask us to open up for him at L'Amour's. So it was like, I don't know, it just kind of started happening. And it was cool. Like, we loved it. We're like, wow, there's an audience that actually enjoys our music. So
I remember reading in that book, though, you said it was Ivan's house, the drummer's house. His mom ran a daycare upstairs, and you guys would play in the basement as White Zombie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there was all kinds of Looney Tunes living in that building, too. I mean, just people off the street she'd take in and give an apartment, like Vietnam vets with like pet raccoons, just insane stuff going on in that house. I can't believe she was allowed to have a daycare center, but somehow it all worked. At least there was a basement for us to practice in.
So then Ivan left. He left right after the making of Devil Music, or was it?
He left kind of halfway through that tour. Yeah.
And then right after, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and then at some point, I can't remember if it was during that tour or after the end of touring Las Exorcista, we got Johnny Tempesta.
And then, yeah, he was from Exodus.
Yeah.
It seems that Exodus,
and
everybody who replaces...
And Testament also.
Yeah.
You know, he played with Testament for a while.
Seems Exodus,
sorry, what were you going to say about Exodus?
Oh, it seems every like Gary Holt, the new guitar player in Slayer, is from Exodus. Kirk Hammett came from Exodus. You know, John. You know, they're all like Exodus. Kind of spawns all these musicians. It seems like.
Yeah, maybe it's something to do with the name. they exit their band and enter another one. But, Grand Exodus.
So, any future music plans?
Well, I have a band now called Star and Dagger. It's with an old friend, Dava She-Wolf. She used to be in the Cycle Sluts from Hell, way back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
And, we've made, 2 records. One's just the EP, one's a full album. And we've written a lot of new songs in the past year, but we just haven't had time to get everyone together to record them. And we're hoping maybe end of the summer that we can, accomplish that and get another record out.
All right. And that's a little more bare bones rock, or is that?
It's really it's kind of heavy, but a little more like in an MC5 Blue Cheer way.
Okay.
I really like her guitar playing. It's kind of, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Mike Martt from Sex and the Horseheads. A little kind of Keith Richards. Just very kind of rock and roll, but heavy still, So it's fun. Yeah, and our singer keeps getting compared to Sherry Curry, so that doesn't hurt.
Hey, that doesn't hurt at all. No. Maybe do a Runaways tribute show or something like that.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Astro Creep album, though, any kind of standout memories from making that album?
Well, not really.
Nothing good?
I'm really, I'm not a gearhead. I'm not a studio person. I love writing music and I like performing music. So, it was mostly Jay kind of obsessing in the studio, which he still does. But, I like to get in there, do my tracks, get out, come back to the mix.
I know a lot of people think it's just a blur going in there, you're cutting these songs and not really paying attention to anything. It's like mathematical almost. Like it's.
Yeah, no, it's not my favorite place to be. I just like to, as long as I get a good sound, I'm like ready to roll. Let me knock it out,
Your last track you ever cut was the Beavis and Butthead, Rat Finks, Suicide Tanks, and Cannibal Girls.
Yeah, that's definitely a blur because we were on tour and had to just hop in the studio one day. Like they pulled us somewhere off the road and put us in. I don't have much recollection on that.
I know that's another long song title. It seems everything White Zombie has like a super long title to it, like Astro Creep 2000, Beyond that.
Yeah, lots of hyphenations and colons and semicolons and things.
Well, yeah, all your information can be found on SeanYseult.com.
Yeah,
and I got the name
pretty
right.
much.
Okay.
Thank you. You did.
I know. You know what? I actually looked it up because I was never sure. I always thought it was Sean Yseult. I was never really sure.
Yeah, no, I guess it's not a common name in America, but it's a very common Irish name. There's even a story called Tristan and Yseult that they made a movie about, and it's just spelled different ways at times. It's usually spelled with an I, and sometimes it's even spelled Isolde, but it's the same name.
Okay, and you have a lot of your music's for sale on that site. If you want to buy a CD.
Yeah, I have a few of my rare White Zombie vinyls because Rob and I, like I said, he hated everything the minute we finished it. So we would walk a few around New York City and put them in record stores and sell them on the road. But we'd always stash a few away, So I've kind of just been sitting on these vinyls for a couple decades, and they're all in mint condition. And it just seems silly to keep more than one or two for myself. So I put a few of those up for sale on my site if anyone's interested in getting the original stuff before it's reissued. It's all on me and Rob's original label. And, I've got that and a few other, my book is for sale through my website and a couple other things.
Yeah, that's a great book. I'm with the Band. I would highly recommend that one.
Oh, thanks so much.
I love that book. It was
I had fun
lots of neat
making
little
it.
stories too that you wrote. I saw like little unscrapped pieces of paper. There was
Yeah,
just little
just
blurbs you
little
would write.
tour notes and things. Yeah, it's all in there.
I remember, yeah, reading, especially right before the making of Devil Music, like you guys were, it's kind of on hard times financially. Like there was,
Oh yeah,
you
we
had
were
like,
always just scraping by.
you had like $1,500 or something they had to split between the band for so many months, or like, I can't remember quite what
It
it
was
was, but
well, it was funny. A lot of bands were like living at like fancy hotels and in Los Angeles, and had per diems just for their amount of booze that they drank daily. I know this for a fact because I dated a guy in one of these bands, and it made me sick because like Zombie could never get a penny. We all lost our jobs when we stopped to make the record, Los Exorcisto in New York City, and they gave us per diems while we were making the record, but they didn't give us any money. So when the record was done, we couldn't pay our rent, and we pleaded with our A&R guy because our jobs wouldn't take us back after quitting that long. And he pleaded with Geffen, and they gave him $5,000 for the four of us to split up. And New York City, that's why we moved to LA. I reasoned with the band. I said, hey, we can go through this in a month in New York, or we can pack up the van and move to LA. And I know for a fact there's apartments out there for under $1,000 a month we can all squeeze into and live. I'll use it to pay rent for 5 months. And we did that, and everything worked out. So it's pretty funny.
oh yeah, now you can laugh about it, I guess.
Yeah, sleeping on the floor, but the floors had wall-to-wall carpeting that seemed very fancy to us, And I remember we went to a store and we each bought one fork, one knife, one spoon, and one plate, so that.
And everybody had to have, everyone used exactly one of each for the whole day.
Yeah. And if there was any dirty dishes, you knew who it belonged to.
Test the DNA out.
Yeah.
But, I remember reading the apartment that you and Rob stayed at there, the rat infested, was it apartment? Then you'd have.
Yeah, we lived in a lot of basements, but this one was the worst, man. I mean, the drop ceiling caved in at one point, and it was a sewage leak from the apartments above, so there was filthy water dripping for months. We just had a big garbage can under the drip, and when the ceiling caved in, it was like filled with rat droppings. So yeah, it's kind of amazing we didn't catch some ancient virus, like plague from the 16th century. But somehow we survived that. So
well,
it was
surviving.
it was pretty rough.
So yeah, there's probably no chance they have a White Zombie reunion because it seems like
no. Rob has said flat out no a million times, and I just keep pointing people that direction because
it is what it is. And
although I mean people have told me to. Our manager told us to start get that Jay and I and Johnny should do White Zombie and just get a new singer, and I hate when bands do that. I would never do that. It's not the band to me without the lead singer. So, I mean, I understand like with Alice in Chains when the lead singer passes away, that's different. But, I just it wouldn't be for any reason other than making money. I don't think that's gonna make fans happy or make us happy to go out on the road with a lineup that's not the original lineup.
You'd have to call it something else, maybe, if you even wanted to do that.
No, we wouldn't have to. I mean, Jay and I are 2/3 of the band. We could still call it White Zombie, but I kind of think things like that are bullshit.
Soiree D'Evolution. I'm terrible with pronouncing French.
Soiree D'Evolution. Tableaux Vivants et Nature Mortes, which Nature Mortes is the French version of Still Life. So everything's very posed, and it's definitely very influenced by Dutch master paintings, some of the darker ones where there's, a human skull or a dead animal hanging off the table. But it does tell the story of a kind of sordid party that goes wrong by the last frame. So it's definitely inspired by some real themes of crews that were going on in the 1870s, and inspired by research on items in my house that I included. I shot every panel in my house. I just did heavy black draping and lighting, but my house is actually from the 1860s, and the show is themed in 1873 for a particular reason of a French banner that I have that's dated 1873. So that kind of started the research. I was trying to find out where that banner was from, and there's a whole vignette is about that, actually, because there was almost a cannibalistic, like, wild girl that was found in the woods in Champagne country, and she was found in the town where that banner is from. So anyway, there's a lot of rabbit holes I kind of fell down doing research, and that's one of many. But there is the theme of the show. I mean, the theme of the party that the show is based on is definitely based on some real crews that existed in New Orleans back in that era in the 1870s.
Okay, yeah, you said your house was built in 1860s?
Yes.
Okay, so that's probably where you drew some inspiration for that then.
Definitely. Definitely. I might be channeling a few ghosts in here.
Yeah. You said you were going to have absinthe there at the party.
Definitely.
I
have a group of friends that we get together and play piano here at my house and drink absinthe, and we're definitely going to carry that on. It's kind of, that's also kind of tied into the theme of the photography show, and we're going to carry it on at the gallery.
I've had absinthe before, but now, not the way you're supposed to prepare it though. I just had it. I had mixed absinthe. I had poured absinthe with Coke.
Oh no!
So that's the only time I've had. That's the only time I've had that. But I've had shots of it too.
Wow, I might have to try that now that you said it.
But probably not the same effect.
Yeah, no, you're just supposed to add a little bit of chilled water. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, there's some kind of burners or something that people cook over it.
Yeah, there's these absinthe spoons you can put a cube of sugar on top of and let the water drip over that until when the sugar dissolves, if you want it sweeter. When the sugar dissolves, then that's when it's ready. But there's also a method of lighting the cube on fire while it's being dripped, and having that all go in there too. So I don't usually do that. The absinthe itself is kind of sweet enough for me.
I know over here it was banned for a while in Canada anyway, and it was it was banned here for a while too. Then they brought it back without the wormwood or the key ingredient.
Yeah, but now you can get actual absinthe with wormwood again.
You ever thought about maybe having your own absinthe? You see all these bands have their own wine and their own beer or something. That would be cool if you had your own absinthe.
I would do it, but Marilyn Manson already did it.
Oh, did he? Okay. I think he did too, yeah.
He did.
They talked a lot about that in the book, like how you were kind of, definitely singled out just for being like the only chick in a metal environment. Maybe the audience was 90% male, and you were the
99% male.
99%. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, a lot of people hear that and go, are outraged. Oh, there was Doro Pesch or there was Lita Ford. I'm like, yeah, but they weren't touring with, Pantera and Megadeth and Anthrax and, it's a different kind of metal that we're doing. So, there were no girl. And those are also lead singers, I was part of the band. I was a bass player, I wasn't a glorified, woman up there, taking center stage.
Yeah, you said you were the only, the second female performer to play at the Castle Donington.
Yeah, in their entire history, and the first one had been Doro Pesch. So, that's pretty drastic numbers there.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, that scene really, Cycle Sluts from Hell, but yeah, they were an all-female band, so they were safety in numbers. But yeah, I'm trying to think other bands. Not many come to mind where there's one chick and then 4 guys.
Or just the chick is just another member of the band, not the lead singer,
Right, yeah. That's the chick from White Zombie, right? That was the Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
They laid that on you.
Yeah, God bless them.